Good warm up. Hi, hi. So,
कोई ना कोई ना।
just introducing my friend in Dwanil Shah. He's in San Jose right now, and I'm doing my favorite podcast, India versus the World. So, like we've been really passionate about sport since we've been kids, and I wanted to just introduce him. And I've done my masters in sport management in Australia, and he's pursuing it in San Jose. And I'll let him tell you a little bit about what he's doing in San Jose, and also in he's pursuing his PhD in Tallahassee. So Dwanil, you can take the stage.
Thank you. So I completed my master's at San Jose State this May, like a month ago, 2 months ago, and now I'm moving forward. I'll be joining a PhD, a doctorate in sport management at Florida State University in Tallahassee. Essentially, I've worked in the sport industry for almost a decade before I came here, give and take. And in my experiences over there, it was tremendous fun to work in sport in India because of the growing market. And since I wanted something new, I wanted a new experience, I wanted to change the scenario. I came here, I did my master's, and now somehow I never knew that I would be interested in research and in academia, and I guess I am. So that's why I'm moving forward to do my PhD at Florida State in Tallahassee, which I'll be leaving in a couple of weeks from here from San Jose and going to Tallahassee. So that's pretty much it. I mean, as you said, we've both been passionate about sports from an early age. We both used to play cricket. We both used to annoy people by opening, both being left-handed batsmen.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was clearly not as good as you were, but at least I was the annoying guy who would make sure that I didn't get out, and you were the guy who was to score runs. But again, like sport has
That's
been in
where
our
that's where it
lives.
started. That's where it started. It was like, I mean, who knew like it would just keep going till like it has been, and it's been amazing. So much to learn from sport.
Yeah.
I really want to know like what you feel like you have learned here, like in India, and how's the experience been different in the US? Because I'll tell you first what I know. In India, the college involvement in sport is not that intense as it is in the US. Of course, the undergrad especially, and that's all I know about like US sport. Like undergrad, college stuff, college football, college soccer, everything is intense. There's a fan army. There's like people following it like crazy, and then after college, it just drops. Like involvement in sport just drops. They get lost in the system. So, have you noticed that kind of a thing there?
Yeah, I mean, I think college football and college sports in general are like, to my surprise, college football is probably bigger than most professional sports here, even if you consider the global sport of soccer, as they call it here, football. I mean, college football is much bigger than all those things, all the other sports. Even I would even say an NBA, even bigger than NBA to an extent, or even bigger than
College college soccer or college football is bigger than NBA, you would say.
college, not college soccer, college football, college American football.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing, dude.
Yeah, so where I'm going right now, Florida State and Tallahassee, their stadium capacity is over 100,000, and they sell out every single home game that they have in the season. So can you imagine 100,000 people coming to watch
Yeah,
college kids play
the
football? It's
experience
unheard of.
is wild.
We can't even, I mean, I can't put into words, but especially like even in San Jose State, the attendance would be around 20,000 or less, or give or take to an extent 20,000. But that is still wild to me, like college sports, college football, 20,000 people coming. Because I never played college, but like especially during school, I've used to see those things, and like nobody would be there. Just like one or two people would be there at max. And even in college, I don't think anybody comes up to
Exactly.
see people watch. So that is really unheard of, like those things for us growing up. I mean, because I was interested in sport from an early age, I used to watch NBA. I used to try to see what American football is, and I'd heard of these things, like how big. And my brother did his master's here in 2016. So he told me about this. He went to one of the most iconic entrance song, like there's he went to Virginia Tech, and they have one of the most iconic entrances in all of college football. So that's what I heard of it, and well, it kind of blew me away at first after thinking why so many people are interested. But when I started reading about it, when I started understanding it, it all made sense why people care because in a way, societally, it's part of like for us in India, sport does not form a part of society. Like
Yeah.
now we are trying to incorporate sport as a
There's
not
there's
just
been a
something
lot
that
of developments now, but like still the culture, the support is not there. I mean, the people are not yet crazy about it. Like it's just for
yeah,
cricket because we see the results there.
yeah, I mean, but that could change potentially because it all started now. So that could potentially change in 1 or 2 generations later when those generations grow up with sport being part of society, sport being part of culture. Right now it isn't. So we are like even us, we grew up being passionate sport fan, but it was
Just
not part of
passionate.
our
Like it was
society.
just the craziness. It wasn't like we knew anything. We had to just like wiggle the way through. And
Yeah.
what you say that college sport in the US is insane, but like where do they get lost in the system? Is that a thing that after college, they, like a lot of people just like fall out, or what's that about? Do they get how do they get from being a college star to not peaking at college and just like actually sustaining it ahead?
But that's the most difficult part about about sport here is the professional sports have very few, like there's only a few, like less than single digit percentage of people who actually go from college to becoming pro athletes because there are only so few teams and there is only one league per se for every sport. Like NBA has, basketball has NBA, American football has NFL, ice hockey has NHL, soccer has MLS, and baseball has MLB. But there's like the one advantage that we have in India is, and which obviously is uh, come from the UK sports system where you have multiple divisions and you have different things that people can still play for,
Like
and the
what?
eventual goal being.
This is in India,
So,
like how is it separate?
so if you're playing cricket and you don't make it to the Indian team or you don't make it to the IPL, you can still play in Ranji. You can still play in different like lower leagues and things like that. Like even if in, for example, if you can't make it to the Mumbai Ranji team, you can go down, try to play for the Goa Ranji team or
Okay.
try to play for an even lower Ranji team all over. Like you still have many more opportunities. It's not just the IPL, but
Yeah.
here it's like it's just the IPL. If I had to like
Yeah,
connect
if
those
you
together, like
connect for context,
there
yeah.
is no other, yeah, there is no other thing. Like you are just basically from after you're done with college, you're only fighting to be play in the IPL, and there is no other, nothing else for you to do.
Okay.
So that it becomes incredibly hard.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously the athlete, like becoming an athlete, obviously, and sustaining it is really hard. But I mean, yeah, I mean, in India, like be it like, in cricket, there are these options, but in other sports, there's still not, that's still not there. I mean, at the top
Yeah,
most level in football in India, it's like the pay is still like really, really less for what I imagine it should
yeah,
be. And something
yeah.
that's a recent trend, a recent development, actually, it's not a trend, that like I've noticed that women's involvement in sport and women's pay disparity is that something that's changing in the US also now, or what's happening in that area? Because I know that you've been working a lot in that aspect with college teams. So, like, have you seen anything that's happening in that area?
So in college sport here, they have this law called Title IX, which was passed in the 70s, where you need to have equal amount of male and female athletes representing your college. So you can't have 1,000 male athletes and just 200 female athletes. You need to have an equal amount of both.
Yeah.
So that's where some schools have to give up on some sports because, well, there is no women, like women don't play those sport, and you cannot have your men play every single sport because that will again have the imbalance. So in college sport here, there's Title IX, which allows you to have equal amount of male and female athletes representing your university. But moving on from there, I don't know how many strides women's sports is making when it comes to pay in the US specific, because one, women don't play. There is no women's American football league here because women don't play
Yeah,
American
that's true.
football
That's
per
a good
se.
one, actually.
So
That should be
there is no women's.
women
There is
NBA.
no women's.
Yeah.
Yeah,
WNBA.
there's WNBA. There's WNBA, but that's the only sport. And then there's soccer. But
Soccer.
soccer, even
Soccer's
men,
big, right? I
men
mean,
up.
soccer's big. Like
Yeah,
they
but
probably the first, around first or fourth, the women's team.
so there's only two sports that women have, especially from the top five or top four that you consider here, which is there's no baseball for women, there's no American football for women, and there is no ice hockey for women. Even if they are like they are not like proper
Yeah, I mean,
leagues, they're still.
I think it's because
But
of
there's
I think I get ice hockey and women's football, but like that's just because of the brutal nature. I don't know. I mean, why is it not there? I wonder. But I was thinking about the soccer thing, and in India as well. I mean, I keep saying this repeatedly that like Indian men's team soccer team is ranked like shit, like 128th, and like we've
yeah.
been trying for years, and there's like stupid corruption happening or whatever it might be. I'm no one to like talk about it from the outside, although I've researched a lot about it. But our women's team is actually ranked 64th, if you know about it. And
Hmm.
I mean,
Interesting. I had no idea.
I would imagine that if we just what if we just flip the switch and like really become a country which just focuses on our women's football, like just to get out there on the map as a footballing nation. Like if we like come in the first 30 rankings, I mean who knows, like the culture could really change. I don't know. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I I would obviously look at it when you say they're ranked 64th, I would obviously look at two things. One, 64 out of how many
Yeah,
ranked nations compared to
proper
men.
full nation, all the nations.
Yeah, yeah. And the second thing would be their performance, their results. I mean, if the
Yeah.
results are good, then definitely. I mean, there has to be good results if they're ranked 64th. So if the results are there, well, they need support. So good to start supporting them, not just because we are, as our country, focus more on like
Yeah,
making sport grassroots and
it's just been so long since like I've seen any improvement in football, and like so I'm just like it's a very emotional side of me that's talking about this.
yeah, but you would feel the same here as well. If you come here, you'll see how disrespected soccer is. You'll feel the same. Like if
Same.
you play in the MLS, you still get paid like very
Yeah.
not
Just
great.
like
But if you play below the MLS levels, like you're not
not
even getting
even
paid enough
getting
to live a
paid. Yeah.
life.
Yeah, it was the same story in Canada. Like I went to Canada to research about football, and like the same story over there. Same problems with the topmost Canada Soccer organizing everything, and obviously like a lot of problems and just like not everything
Yeah,
just happening quickly. But hopefully the World Cup coming now can like change things around. I don't know. What do you think? It's exciting. Are you excited
unlike
about the football World Cup, or are you now just like into American football more?
no, I don't watch American. I don't like that sport. I don't watch American football. I'm not sure if I'm excited for the World Cup because I'm really confused what the point of the World Cup is, to be
Okay.
honest, because it's the most expanded World Cup that's gonna happen with 48 teams
Yeah.
here. And
Yeah.
honestly, I don't think that people in this part of the world, at least in the US, I don't know about Canada and Mexico.
No.
Mexico seems big on soccer,
Yeah.
but I don't know about Canada. And here, I don't think people care that much about this sport. Like they will care because their country is hosting it, and that's exactly what happened in the Copa America. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know if you've read or seen what happened in the final and all those things.
Yeah,
It's
do tell me. Because I'm really excited about the World Cup, but then again, I don't know exactly how like the feelings were during this Copa America. What happened?
So during the Copa America final, the game was delayed by an hour and 45 minutes because
Okay.
there were not only ticketed fans trying to get into the stadium, people who didn't have tickets tried to get into the stadium, and it just became a whole chaos where people who didn't have tickets went into the stadium. And one of the tweets that I saw, one of the X's that I saw was that there was 5 times the amount of people that could fit in that stadium at that time,
Hmm.
which if for here is kind of unheard of for them, especially for soccer. So maybe
Wow.
that's why they weren't much more. And obviously, the blame can't just go to America. The blame has to go to the organizers, which were Copa America. But
Yeah.
my thing was because I went to the Russia World Cup in 2018. I'm saying that whenever the World Cup happens, you're gonna have, and now that you have 48 nations, so there's going to be people from 48 nations, plus there's going to be more people like us who come from India and all over the world who,
Yeah,
even if your country is not playing, you still want to go and watch the biggest sporting spectacle in the world,
it is
bar
good.
the Olympics. So there's going to be people from like what
Yeah.
70, 80, or maybe more countries because it's the US. There could be more people interested because if you could be a two-in-one thing, you can watch football and you can also
So travel
visit
like three
America.
countries and yeah,
Yeah,
essentially America also,
yeah.
both sides.
Like Like obviously, and also because of Qatar, like a lot of people did
They
not
do not like the
like
Qatar
chose and also chose to not go to
chose to
2022
not.
because of everything that happened in Qatar. So there are also those people. So there's going to be so many people. Like if you think 5 times the amount of people is a concern, if you
Yeah.
think South American fans are crazy and hooligans, like, well,
Yeah.
how are you going to deal with the Europeans?
Yeah, no,
Like, how are
definitely.
you going to?
Like, I am honestly half coming, like half excited about the chaos that's going to happen, and also second half is maybe about Cristiano Ronaldo, although he's not at his best anymore, but he's gonna play his last World Cup, so that's the second half. I mean,
Yeah,
it will be something to
I
remember.
I don't think he's going to play. I'd be surprised, but doesn't matter. That's not the conversation. But the
Yeah.
whole point is like these things, like when the World Cup happens in Europe and especially when it happened in Russia, it was understandable. Like even so
Yes.
many
Oh,
people
yes.
being there,
You had visited the Russia World Cup, right? So
yeah, but all of that makes so much more sense for the people because they know what that culture is. Because Russian football was also big at once upon a time. Like they used to also have 70,000 people go to Russian football league matches and all those things. So they all understand what this is like. But here, when people don't understand what this is and why people are so crazy about it, everything becomes so much more worse as to
but has
why the hell
like Beckham coming to Miami kind of changed the culture, at least in Miami? Like at least
you mean you mean Messi or Beckham?
Beckham, I prefer Beckham, but
Mm,
okay, because he came first and Messi came
yeah,
first.
maybe over there, but overall, I do remember that for like a smooth 1 week, people used to talk about, oh, MLS, oh, Lionel Messi coming in, but I haven't heard anything since. Like, there hasn't been an additional person that I know beyond who started to have a conversation about soccer. Like, obviously, people who already were talking about soccer, but there was like it didn't expand as to I would my imagine what I would think of is if the greatest player, one of the greatest player ever, comes to your league and all of a sudden like he thinks this league is important, he thinks the sport in this country is important. I would have imagined that a few more people would also start to like, so what is this soccer that everybody talks about? Let's us also start looking at it. But that never happened. Like, I did not hear anybody else nor do I see any excitement. Like the team here, it's called San Jose Earthquakes. It's an MLS team.
Yeah,
Their attendance hasn't gone up. Their attendance hasn't changed anything. Like
yeah.
there hasn't been much change apart from the fact that Messi is having the greatest vacation of his life. There
Uh,
hasn't been much that has changed.
Damn. But like,
It's
I mean, obviously, like when we talk about soccer, I kind of get swayed away and I keep going on and on. But I also am very curious about the tech. Like we've always heard when we were growing up, we've always heard in India that, oh, Australia and the US have the best sports tech and the best sports science that there is. So when you were studying
yeah.
in your master's university and also now that you're going into Tallahassee for your PhD, what do you think about like the sports equipment and sports tech development in like I just want to know like some bizarre tech things that you've seen. I can give you an example that in 2017 when there was no knowledge of these things that's when I was studying in Australia, and that's when I visited Victoria University. I was studying at Deakin University, but I visited Victoria University and I used to spend more time there because over there they
Okay.
had like crazy tech. Like they had the cryotherapy chamber and the hot and cold swimming pools just like after practice, and they had a data merging like the whole practice. There's like 22 people training, and on an iPad they had like data for everyone live, and I was like, dude,
Okay.
this is so cool. Like that was like my dream, like, to be in such a controlled environment of sport. So have you seen like maybe the Olympic preparation places or some places in your university that have like crazy sport tech?
I think what you're trying to say, it would have been the case for me if I came here around those times when you went to Australia. I
Oh,
think
why?
because I came in a time post uh post OTT boom and post there being sports documentaries and all those things on
Oh,
the internet, where I saw all those things obviously behind the scenes in so many of the different documentaries where I had already seen, oh, so this is how professional athletes train. You
yeah.
have you have the hot pool, you have the cold pool, you're taking ice bath, you have this chamber where you're going in for all those things. Like I can understand, like I didn't have I didn't have a knowledge of understanding or even knew those things existed before, but I'd already seen those things on these shows and all these
Yeah.
different documentaries that came out post like 2018. There was like we were bombarded with so many, like from Formula One to cricket, tennis, football, everything,
Oh, yeah.
basketball. So that's
That's
why I've seen all those things. That's why I'm not saying seeing all those things in person aren't cool. They are, but it wasn't like something
But
like,
do you
whoa,
get
wow, what?
access to it like as a student to train?
I don't think so.
Not as much. It's just
Yeah, like my situation.
proper Olympic athletes or whatever.
Yeah, because I mean, I actually don't know from a just a regular student perspective because I was not a student athlete, but I used to work. I worked both the
Athletes.
years with the athletic department. I worked with them. So I kind of had access to most of the things, but I don't know exactly what it would look like for a regular student. I would doubt it because, well, there is different resources and things for regular students, like in the student union and all those things, which I would assume are just for them. But
Yeah.
that's something that I honestly don't know entirely. Like if a student is actually interested and if you
Yeah, not all the
request it or
students.
something, I don't know. Like if you have a student request it, maybe they can give it. I don't
Maybe
know,
it's like a
but unlikely. Unlikely.
yeah. But so then now that you've decided to do your PhD, I mean it's like a 3 year PhD, right?
At least 3 years. Yeah.
At least 3 years. Do you like know like how in which direction you're going in sport? What the PhD will circle around?
It will mostly circle around media because
Media.
that's what.
Okay.
Yeah, because as you know, I mean, you would obviously understand that perspective as well. We both grew up get, caring and interested in sport from an early age, but everything that we learned about sport was through the media. Like till everything apart from cricket that we could experience firsthand in front of us, everything else was in media. But like even in cricket, like our perception of Virat Kohli has been driven by the media.
100.
Now we are old enough, we are mature enough to understand that what you are saying is not true.
Yeah,
We
he's
can see a person, we've seen and heard things from like way before because obviously we grew up while he was growing up as a cricketer. So we have seen everything and we kind of understand that, okay, like this is all just something that is,
a team working
again,
towards an image.
yeah, it's just image creation. Like you're trying to say this or that, and everything has like all the perspectives about sport have are so much so driven by one of my favorite sports in the world is tennis. But it is so freaking annoying to be a tennis fan because of all the agenda and all the tangents that the media keeps on going about tennis for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
All unfounded because one, tennis is not covered by so many, like tennis is only covered by a few big outlets and doesn't have the media coverage of like football, soccer kind of football, where you would have
There's not
local
as
news
many
covering.
personalities to make content around, and like it's also easier to target that one person. I mean, I wonder how much
Yeah,
pressure Djokovic must have gone through when he did not take the COVID shot. And he's just, it's just him and his team and his family. Whereas in a football team, there's their whole team and the team support staff to help this one guy. Whereas like here, it's just kind of like it's a one-man show in tennis. That's why it's like frustrating and
yeah,
hard, right?
yeah. And it's like even in the last two things that I worked on as a student, like one of the things that I did was my thesis recently about this sport documentary called Drive to Survive, which is on the sport of Formula One and
Yeah.
how the media just assumes based on like, okay, so people watch Drive to Survive, that means people that's why Formula One is famous now. That's why you watch Drive to Survive and you automatically become a Formula One fan and all those things. Like those are such like entry level or whatever. I don't even know. Like there is no like how can you not go into more depth? How are you just
Yeah.
making assumptions on surface level? And
But
the
that's what
second thing
I mean.
happens in 10.
Like we wouldn't have questioned these things if we were like say 18 or 21 year olds watching Drive to Survive, right?
Probably, yeah, probably not. But yeah, that's obviously for me it became easier because I knew people, I knew some of my friends and knew some other people who watched that show, but I saw firsthand that that did not translate to them actually becoming fans of the sport or actually caring enough. And then this whole thing became how like Drive to Survive is the savior. My problem with that was yes, Drive to Survive does make people fan. Yes, fans. Yes, Drive to Survive does help has helped the sport tremendously. But when you as the media just keep on saying that and that becomes a general understanding, so much of the focus is now going into that show for that sport where the sport is losing its own like charm
Yeah.
because now it's becoming so much more about like so much more scripted
Yeah.
and all those things like the behaviors have to change the way these drivers behave the way the teams behave the
It's
things that
not
they
as
do
raw,
because
you
they
mean. It's not
yeah
as
because they know they are because they know
being
they are under a
touched.
camera and they know that they want to portray a certain image to the people whenever it comes out whenever the show comes out they know that they have an image to set. I mean they know they can control it where if you're not under those Netflix cameras and you're not under those things, like you're just behaving as you would. But
Yeah.
now that you know, like even in this scenario, like if this conversation was not being recorded and we were just talking on the phone about this, the whole conversation would be different,
Would be
right?
different.
The way we
Very
talk about
raw.
these things.
Exactly. I mean, we're still trying to keep it as raw as we can, but it would obviously matter. It would obviously be very different. So, like from this angle, like you're gonna be doing your PhD on media, in the media side of sport
Mm.
and maybe
Yeah.
broadcasting. Are you doing it like mentally through an angle of being a critic of it, or just understanding it to join it? Like you want to go on the critics
Mm.
side.
Yeah. I want to question the media. I want to not critic the media. I want to question them, hold them accountable, try to I don't know, like if you ask me like a grander goal would be maybe make media start questioning or yeah, just holding them accountable as to like we cannot do this.
Yeah.
Like we cannot
Build someone up and
one because
throw them down. Do you mean that?
not even that, like for like even the Virat Kohli example that we are talking about, not only are you completely hampering and ruining that person's life by setting out all these perspectives
Unrealistic
and image that
standards.
you want about yeah like you're not just ruining his life you're also playing with so many different people who are actually consuming and believing what you are saying and
Yeah.
making it a because what happens is, for example, if you are a young cricketer, like you're playing in your high school right now, and you see all those things in the media and you see all these things, and you're like, okay, so this is what Virat Kohli is. Like he's this arrogant brat who's this and that, who abuses his teammates and everybody else on the pitch. But
You
you can
also.
view this as like, oh, this is what it requires to be successful. This is what it requires to be great.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not
well, yeah, I would
you
not
can you can assume that, and then your behavior and attitude
been
will
there,
also
done
change.
that.
Like you'll try to, yeah, you'll also try to do like involve those things and instill those things in your own game because you think that, oh, if Virat is doing this and that's how you become great and that's how you achieve these things, well, I might also have to change. Let me focus up. Let me not try to be a great person and a great team player.
Yeah.
Fuck them. Well, yeah, like, those things can happen. Right? We grew up in a generation where they were all like poster boys, textbook people, like just super great human beings like Sachin Tendulkar. So we grew up with understanding what respect is whenever you are competing, and also knowing how to be in the game, but also knowing that well you still have to be
To be a
respectful. You
good
still have
human
to be
being
human.
outside as well.
Yeah, because that's what Sachin stood for. That's why people still talk about Sachin as a
Immortal.
god because it's like yeah, and that's the same thing that happens in even the conversation about Roger Federer, Rafa Nadal, and Novak Djokovic. The reason that Djokovic is by far the most decorated tennis player to ever exist, and he's still questioned every single day about his greatness, is because people just don't want to accept it because they've grown up knowing that, oh, you have to be like a Roger or a Rafa, but you are just the media's darling. You're the sweetheart. You're this amazing person who is not self-obsessed and who doesn't have a mean. It's not possible. Like, how can you expect Novak Djokovic to
Yeah,
be at
exactly.
the age of 37 and
100%.
still compete like that while being a soft? Like, if he was soft, he would have been
Wouldn't
pushed
be able
over.
to last. Yes, 100%. So,
So again, it's all those things where you like. There's so much power. Like if you keep digging, like this was just one example where kids would also aspire to do those things. There's so many different things that get actually affected that we don't even see. Like I only see these things now because I'm thinking about it. Like I'm sure if I think about it more and read about it more and dig about it more, I'll realize how many more of these touch points the media can actually influence, and that's troubling.
yeah, that's true, man. I mean, yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I think like India, I mean, it's a far stretch to expect that kind of a change in media. But I think you can at least like read about it, and in your PhD, you can understand. Maybe you can be the creator of change. And yeah, I mean, dude, it's been a great chat. I mean, I have to wrap this up and cut it short because like it's my Zoom as well. It's has a time limit. But it's
Yeah.
a great
No,
chat,
all
and
good. I think this is more than enough. Yeah, we don't need to over
yeah,
bombard with.
exactly. And I mean, I could just some have some like last notes and ask you that what are you
Yeah,
most excited about in your PhD and moving to the East Coast, and what are you most excited about for India in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think in the next 5 to 10 years,
Years for India and also your PhD.
I think for India it would be. I would say I'm not saying this because cricket is big and cricket is the most important sport. I think dominance in cricket will really help India because once you solidify your position as a powerhouse in something, like you're automatically as like you are heard in more in sports circles, like even just beyond.
All the time.
Like
And
you have to become a powerhouse in if you are dedicating so much to something, you have to become a powerhouse in that at least. And that would in the other way, like okay, so like we're already dedicating so much to cricket and we are seeing the results. So now let's put this efforts and push
overflowing
push
from cricket and flowing into other sports.
yeah, and that's why like but you'll also be taken more importantly. Like people will know more about okay, like a cricket powerhouse could. Okay,
Yeah.
so don't mess with them in
And,
cricket,
and,
but
and look at how they've kind of brought it to the US as well. I mean, it's a start of
yeah,
something new, and hopefully it like materializes into something in the US and for like India also, the partnership.
yeah. I hope India does become a powerhouse in cricket, and maybe that helps because we tried the other model. Like we were like, oh, let's care about other sports, let's care about this and that.
Oh,
But
yeah.
that kind of didn't work. At least so far, it hasn't worked because obviously, I
Yeah.
mean, I haven't been there for 2 years, but from what I'd seen before, it didn't work that much. People didn't care a lot about other sports. They did
Yeah.
about kabaddi for an extent, but not anything else, to be honest. So maybe this approach works. Maybe when once you become a powerhouse in something else, and like that also inspires so many different people and
Yeah.
gives you a voice in the global spectrum of cricket of sport. Yeah, maybe that'll be a good
The
start.
World Cup win right now really helped, and the atmosphere here was insane. I mean, you missed it.
Yeah,
It was insane. Yeah, the crowds at Marine Drive while the bus was going through, and it was crazy. I went to that crowd. Yeah, but anyway,
yeah,
dude. Yeah, the time is up. But I mean, it's been a great chat. And I mean, I
yeah.
hope to see you either in Miami or when you come to Mumbai.
Mumbai.
Yeah,
I think Mumbai first. Mumbai first.
Miami, dude.
And
Miami will happen.
not to put too much pressure on Neeraj Chopra. He also has to
Oh,
dominate. He
yes,
also has to win the gold medal. So gotta
100%.
win the golden
Fingers
Paris.
crossed. More gold medals this time, hopefully. And let's see, exciting Paris Olympics are coming up. I think it'll be a like game changer for India because of Reliance's involvement in the Olympics this time.
Hopefully, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, I mean,
Alrighty.
great chat. I mean, I hope I'll see you
Thank
soon.
you.
Miami.
Yep, yep. Take
Cheers.
care.
Cheers, buddy. Bye.
See you, man.
See
Thank
you.
you for inviting me.
No worries.
Ciao.
Ciao.